Kids, it's Mrs. Shalley. Okay, so I have this like at a different angle or something. Okay, I don't know. So I'm in my kitchen. Boom. Sunflowers, family, backwards. There could be barking, so I don't know what to say. It won't be the chief, it'll be the dogs. So hey, I wish we were here to together, but we're not. So you need to pull up this article that is linked as Stylistic Choices is the name of it. And once you pull it up, maybe you can do like a double screen thing here. That's what I'm doing. There's some questions on the right that are in yellow that you're going to answer as a journal. So I want to go over them a little bit. So this is an example of how you would analyze something for stylistic choices. And so they have broken this down by paragraph and sections, and then they ask you some questions. So first paragraph, I'm just going to read it, and then I'll talk about some things with you as you think about how you want to answer it. So first of all, okay, back up. We're talking about, what's it called? Pop culture. Oh my gosh, kids, I'm losing it. We're talking about pop culture. So we identified it, we defined it, we watched those two videos, if you'll recall, last week. You put things on positive to negative, that timeline scale or whatever. And then yesterday you talked about the diction and the connotation, and you've looked at positive and negative words. So also now we're throwing in polysyndeton again, and some rhetorical techniques or devices. So first paragraph. So this is what this is about. This is a excerpt of a larger essay about pop culture. Okay, here we go. And people call, might want to look up that word if you don't know it, in the other direction, too obviously, dismissing any and all art museums as dull and old-fashioned, because actually learning about art is time-consuming. And admitting that you simply don't prioritize it means you might be missing out. Hint, you are. So, what's the writer's message? Without looking at the rest of the writing, just in this one paragraph, summarize what the writer's message is. Now, number 2, discuss the synonyms used in this paragraph. So, they have highlighted them for you. Call, dismissing, old-fashioned. Call's in there twice, right? Call, dismissing, dull, old-fashioned. Oh, call and dull rhyme. Okay, so we know there's synonyms, and we all know they mean something similar, obviously. Now, the question is, how do they cohesively develop the speaker's message? So what does cohesive mean? Okay, well, when I think of cohesive, I think of like glue. It's two things sticking together, keeping together. Sometimes we talk about a cohesive family, a family that sticks together through thick and thin. So now we're talking about it in terms of this paragraph and these synonyms. So how do these words help develop this message about art museums? Okay, how does that think of in terms of affect the reader? Why did the writer choose to use these synonyms? Okay, next paragraph. This asks about polysyndeton, which of course is the repetition of and without commas. And you'll recall in Gatsby, there was that section, the example we looked at was when they talked about the orchestra at Gatsby's party, the trombones and the trumpets and the drums and the tubas and the... Okay, same thing here. Calling is easy. It implies a huge amount of control and mastery. Surrender, on the other hand, is a little sad. That's the moment you realize you're separated from so much. That's your moment of understanding that you'll miss most of the music and the dancing and the art and the books and the films that there have ever been and ever will be. And right now, there's something being performed somewhere in the world that you're not seeing that you would love. That's powerful stuff there. The question is, discuss the polysyndeton here. What is the effect of the repetition of and and discuss the cohesiveness. Okay, so you've got two things to address here. What is the effect of the repetition of and? What effect does that? I mean, what effect does that give? What effect does it have on you? Also, think about when we talked about polysyndeton. Try reading it aloud like I did. Most of the music and the dancing and the art and the books and the films that there ever have been and ever will be, and right now, there's something being performed somewhere in the world that you're not seeing that you would love. Then discuss the cohesiveness. So what's the effect of the polysyndeton, and then how does the polysyndeton, again, contribute to the sense of, of the cohesive writing? Okay, next. It's sad, but it's also great, really. Imagine if you'd seen everything good, or if you knew about everything good. Imagine if you really got to all the recordings and books and movies you're supposed to see. Imagine you got through everybody's list until everything you hadn't read didn't really need reading. That would imply that all the culture value... Okay, let's stop there. Let's go back. Okay, so number 4, discuss the parallel structure. What is the effect? How does it develop the message cohesively? Okay, if you'll remember, parallelism is when phrases are set up in grammatically similar, in the same pattern. Sentences or phrases, clauses. I'm trying to think. One of the examples we talked about was in Abe Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Of the people, by the people, for the people. That's an example of parallelism. I don't think you guys have much trouble with that. So what's the effect of parallelism? Again, what is the effect on the reader? Okay, and then also think in terms of generally what do we know about parallel structure? What do we know that parallelism does in writing? And then again, how does it develop the message cohesively? We're back to that idea of the writing being cohesive, sticking together. So how does parallelism contribute or develop that idea? All right, so then the end, we're going down to the green part. Unless you're colorblind, and then it's gray. I don't know, kids. It's your business what color you see. All right, that would imply that all the cultural value the world has managed to produce since a glob of primordial ooze first picked up a violin is so tiny and insignificant that a single human being can gobble all of it in one lifetime. That would make us failures, I think. Okay, so number 5, discuss this sentence for all its rhetorical techniques. So what could that be? That could be pathos, ethos, logos. That could be polysyndeton, asyndeton, figurative language, hyperbole, simile, metaphor, alliteration. Look at your diddle paper and see what you come up with. And then explain the effect within the passage and discuss its cohesive nature. So again, we're doing the same thing. What is the effect of the use? Don't just tell us, like if you decide that this is ethos, and it's not. But let's say that you decide that it's ethos. Don't just tell us how it's ethos. Tell us the effect that the ethos has. But again, don't say ethos because it's not. But that's, just using an example there. So, tell us what the rhetorical technique is, but explain its Then guess what? Explain why it's cohesive. Discuss how it contributes to the cohesive nature of this writing. And then finally, as a whole, discuss the effect of the repeated idea of missing out and sadness. So if you go back and look throughout the writing, and this is in blue, unless you're colorblind, and I don't know, is it gray? In blue, at the top, missing, little sad, miss, it's sad. What effect does that have? So think about that. Now, here's what's interesting. I think a lot of times when we're writing or when we're reading, we think, oh, that's, look, they have used some synonyms. that's not something that you always do naturally. This is something that good writers are purposefully doing. This writer purposefully knows, obviously, what his or her purpose is and what the message is. And so this writer is deliberately choosing to make sure that missing and sad, that those things are dispersed throughout this writing. Those are conscious decisions that writers make. Good writers, of course, like this, it's not obvious. It's very, what's the word? I can never think of words. It's very, oh, look, they delayed tax payment deadline for 90 days, kids. Your taxes are not due on April 15th. It's obscure and you may not notice it, but the writer's doing it for a reason. So, all these questions we're asking you to answer. There are 6 of them. So this is a practice one that's kind of done for you. And then, kind of looking ahead, then you're going to do one on your own for Thursday. And then when we come back, please, Lord, let us come back after spring break and be together again. You're going to actually write a paper about pop culture and negativity, negative, positive, what your feelings are on it. And I may add one other question about this. I just think it's super interesting. You know what cultural literacy is? I think Mr. Atkinson has talked to you guys about this before. Like, there are things you should know about in the world that make you culturally literate. Like, so when people talk about the Sistine Chapel, do you know what that is? You might see it in reading, expressed as a metaphor or an illusion. Do you know what, I don't know, Van Gogh's Starry Night? Do you know, when you hear that, do you know what picture that is? Do you know what that looks like? So that's what this reading is about, which I think is super interesting. I wish we could have a discussion about. But just think about, one of the great things about growing up is, and about field trips, which we had hoped to take this year and maybe we will yet. Dancing and art and music and books and films are some of the best things that the world creates. Okay, like right now we're without sports. And I know concerts are canceled, and, like the IRT in Indianapolis, I think you've all been there for a show, Beef and Boards. All those places are closed. Those shows aren't showing. But, music is still there for you to listen to. Dancing is still, these are things you can participate in and that you can enjoy. And, sometimes you might not you think you don't like the art or the dancing or the music, but that first paragraph, you might be missing out on something you didn't realize that you liked. I just think that's something important to look at. Think about the importance of the arts, how they make the world a better place, and how they make us better people, more well-rounded people. Okay, I'm rambling. So put this up in a journal for you to answer these 6 questions. And then, just because I know you miss it, I'm just going to, give you a little taste of, in case something doesn't work, you can always do what?
Do not stop refreshing your screen. Refresh.
All right, kids. Also, and finally, if you think that Mr. Atkinson and I don't miss you, well, guess what, kids? You are
wrong.
So, hope you had a good Tuesday, have a good Wednesday, and we'll be in touch. Keep grinding it out. Bye.